In a world where spiritual powers are a commodity among the people of Eudemon, a young man wishes to be the next king of the continent. But there is a little catch here. Even though the young man is the only one among his peers with no spiritual powers, he has something residing deep inside him that will surpass anything the people of Eudemon have ever seen before. Without knowing about the great secret locked inside his heart, watch till the end to find out whether the young man will be able to pursue his dreams or not. In the Eudemon continent, some local guards from Tianwu are giving a spy girl from the Mowu region a chase. In a local bar a couple of blocks away, a guy named Chu Ling Xiao is telling a tale as usual, this time about the fight between Mowu and Tianfeng. Chu reveals the attack that Mowu had launched under their king and how they were stopped by Tianfeng from the Tianwu Academy. The people are rather impressed by the story until Chu reveals how he is not the most intellectual guy as he tries to convince the crowd about how he will be the next king. Of course, no one really takes him seriously alongside his mom and friend Zi Feng. The boys are sent on an errand afterwards where they are having a conversation about the upcoming recruitment for Tian Academy. Chu is really optimistic to join, but Zi Feng gives him a reality check about how there is really no way Chu will be selected as he is the only one in the whole Eudemon continent who is incapable of using spiritual power. As the boys were having their fun, the chase of the spy picked up the pace and passed by our boys in the process. Chu gets really excited about getting involved and leaves the delivery of alcohol to Zi Feng before mindlessly following the spy. Chu does manage to run into the spy, who was a really beautiful woman, but as the guards were about to take her down, Chu ends up assuming that the girl is innocent and he starts to protect her. Chu's non-rational decision really makes a big problem for him as the girl escapes the scene while leaving a man-eating plant to deal with Chu. The girl meets up with a guy named Xueya from Mowu as well. The girl's name is revealed to be Lan Ruo Bing, and Xueya tells her to sneak into the Tian Temple as a student to gather more information about their Dragon King, whose revival they are awaiting. Lan is granted a male disguise by Feng, while Chu, who was really about to die due to his lack of fighting ability, suddenly hears a voice offering him power that turns out to be life-changing for him when he gets possessed by something and easily cuts the plant monster down before passing out. Chu has a dream about the fierce battle between the Dragon King and Tianfeng before he wakes up back at his place, only to get scolded by his mother. Chu's mother decides to teach him a lesson for being so idiotic and is trying to ground him for the day when he reveals how he needs to take the Tianwu Academy test. Chu gets into some questionable trouble that his mom left him with before he is rescued by Zi Feng. Zi Feng is making fun of Chu while the boys are running towards the academy when Chu runs into Lan. Lan is shocked about how Chu is still alive, and as the students are assembling inside, Lan decides to try and stop Chu from getting into the academy. Before the protocol officially begins, Zi Feng introduces Chu to some of the strongest applicants present, and Chu's previous absurd claims lead him to be the laughingstock after people realize that he is from the bar in town. The instructor starts off with a perception test, and as the students are rushing in to defeat a wild beast, Chu's bad luck makes him run into a giant white tiger. The tiger scratches Chu's leg, but before it could have done anything further, Chu's blood makes the tiger run away for some reason. Chu starts feeling disrespected after the tiger just avoided him like that, and when he's screaming from the pain of his wound, one of the strongest students in the academy named Xiao Yi notices the guy in pain and heals him with her powers. Yi was about to say something, but she is interrupted by her teammate who tells her to come back, looking down on Chu. While Chu was busy, time was running out. Chu starts to panic at first, but ends up coming up with an idea that somehow works, helping Chu capture the tiger. Chu is trying to drag the tiger back to the portal, but before he could show it to the instructor, Lan interferes and casts a spell to change the tiger into a measly little animal. The whole crowd starts to laugh at Chu yet again, but the instructor manages to see how this was a spell and lets Chu pass the test for now. While keeping in mind that there is a spy among the applicants, the kids are taken to the next test, which is to cross a certain bridge, and the first 50 to cross will qualify for the next test. The test seems way too simple to be true, and the expected twist happens when the applicants are attacked by monster bugs hiding underneath the bridge. Everyone is having a really hard time until Xiao Yi realizes something about staying low and successfully manages to crawl through a decent distance on her own, and Chu's team follows her lead. The crew is doing a really good job until they realize that this test cannot be this simple when a new hurdle arrives in their way in a form of a giant version of the same bug monster. While the smaller monsters were busy sucking out the life force of applicants, our crew tried to use the same strategy of moving without making any noise that had been working just fine so far. The strategy fails, and the crew is forced to fight with the biggest problem being how the giant monster is unaffected by any of the group's attacks. As the group runs out of options, the monster retaliates by turning every single student into stone through petrification. Xiao Yu manages to stop the initial attack and saves herself alongside Chu, but even then, they end up getting captured by the monster. While the monster was wreaking havoc on the students, a guy named Bai reached the finish line alongside Lan, who then proceeds to meet Shuya again. Back at the bridge, Chu was in deep trouble when suddenly he faints to find himself looking into his own mind. He finds a demonic spirit that turns out to be the Dragon King, who was somehow sealed inside the powerless Chu. The Dragon King was held back by a seal that is eventually removed after the spirit convinces Chu to touch the seal after he bribes him with the power Chu always wanted. The Dragon King finally revives after all these years, and the power surge lets the Academy management know that a calamity has arrived. The Dragon King immediately toys with the bug monster, but while doing so, Chu's body proves to be too weak to hold his power. The Dragon King heals by using the monster's core and is about to consume Xiao Yi as well when the Academy director arrives just in time to somehow activate the seal again that luckily was not completely destroyed. The vice director wipes the memories of both kids, and after having a vision of the horrible incident from last night, Chu wakes up at a little controversy as he is now getting hate after being found on top of Xiao Yi. Neither Chu nor Xiao Yi has any sort of memories of the events, and before the argument could go any further, the instructor arrives to gather the applicants at the World Tree. The instructor reveals how since the bug monster leader was not in the plan, every survivor alongside Chu Ling has passed the exam. The applicants are told to enter the gate of Tianwu Academy, and while Zifeng is assuming that Chu has a screw loose, Lan seems to be quite angry at how Chu has managed to make it to the third test without any powers. The applicants are told about the Academy's backstory, which makes Chu burst into tears before they're introduced to the rooms they will be staying in, as they are not official students yet. A new teacher named Do Yin is introduced to the applicants, and the kids just make fun of him for his funny looks. Do Yin forces the students to respect him after he reveals how he is capable of reading minds, and the hectic day ends as all the students head back to their rooms to rest for the next day. Things were not peaceful for the longest time when Shuya arrives with some more trouble as he brings some more people from Mo Wu only to cause more chaos. The next day arrived with a lecture for the applicants as they had gotten 5 minutes late for the final test to enroll in the academy. Chu Ling arrives even later than the rest of the crowd, and upon his arrival, Do Yin reveals how the final test will be a game of coins, and the one who has at least 1,000 coins at the end gets to enroll in Tianwu Academy. The applicants are allowed to use any methods in order to obtain their coins, and upon their initial coin distribution, Chu Ling turns out to be the one who had hit the jackpot of 2,000 coins. Chu's lack of intelligence causes him trouble again as he gets everyone to chase him after he screams his lungs out in the excitement of hitting the jackpot. After running for quite a bit, Chu finally sees a spot that looks safe until Chu is jumped by some of the locals. The group takes Chu's coins, and the awakening of the Dragon King grants Chu the ability to see things in slow motion, courtesy of a seal on his neck. Happiness overwhelms Chu, and he ends up hurting himself yet again. The group of assaulters is looking down on Chu when suddenly Lan attacks all 4 of them with her wines and restrains everyone to run away with the bag. Chu's craziness helps him in getting out, while the members from Mo Wu who were brought by Shuya are revealed to be on the move as well as they are attacking applicants left and right. Chu somehow finds Zifeng, who is yet again surprised about Chu's stupidity, as this man had completely forgotten about his coins and his happiness for finally getting some superpowers. Chu's excitement is broken by an explosion nearby, which leads our boys to find out how the Mo Wu spies have gotten their hands on Xiao Yi's group. The Mo Wu guys are going for Xiao Yi after defeating the rest of her team, when Chu suddenly decides that he has had enough, and despite Zifeng's warning, Chu ends up declaring war. With no knowledge of how to actually use his powers, Chu just jumps straight in only to humiliate himself in front of the spies again. With a little backup from Zifeng, Chu manages to get both Xiaoyi and the dragon orb that the spies had brought and heads straight to the safe area. The spies were better than that, as they caught up pretty quickly, only to come to know that Chu's powers were somehow working again. Chu uses some Dragon Ball-style martial art and surprises the spies as he kicks all of their bombs away. The spies launch their biggest attack, but somehow Chu causes a larger explosion with the use of the dragon orb. While Bai and Lan had gotten their shares of coins and were wondering about what was going on, Chu's series of dreams continues with the purple dragon from the orb awakened inside him this time, upon the request of the Dragon King, granting Chu some dragon clothes. The spies finally know that Chu is their real target, but before they could do anything, it turns out that Chu was safe as the blast from earlier had blown his team towards the safe zone. The test of currencies finally wraps up, and the students are assembled in a cave where the door of identity is set. The students who did manage to have 1,000 coins at the very least are told to go through the gate and get their ranks, but seeing this makes Chu Ling sad as he would not be able to enroll in the academy this way. Bai, Lan, and even Zifeng manage to get their ranks, but Dou Yin is not seeming to be impressed by any of this. While all this was happening, the purple dragon reappears in Chu's consciousness, and out of generosity grants him his own spiritual coins. He tries them out at the door, and the whole crowd, including the teacher, is left in shock when somehow Chu Ling gets the awakened rank, colorless. Seeing the spiritual coins make the crowd go wild, and they start accusing Chu that he had cheated. Despite Dou Yin's approval, a riot starts, and Chu gets beaten up alongside Zifeng until the vice director arrives to approve of the enrollment, but she does leave Chu with a warning for the trouble he had caused. The next morning, Chu Ling is still upset about the fact that he got a warning as soon as he enrolled, while he is headed towards the academy grounds. Zifeng is trying to console his friend, but Chu switches his mood as soon as he sees the academy. Our boys mess around with Miss Xia before coming to know about how they are in Dou Yin's class with Bai, Lan, and even Xiaoyi alongside them. Dou Yi takes the freshmen on a little academy tour, where he reveals how they will be studying 3 subjects under him. The students are taken inside the school building, where on the way, Xiaoyi is having fun talking to Chu, which seems to bother her teammate. The teacher introduced the students to the entrance of Shifang Yu, which led them to sort of a galaxy setting, where they would be getting their Eudemon weapons. The students are sent to islands respective to their colors, and this time again, Chu seems to be out of luck when he only finds a small beaten-up hut on his island. Chu ends up playing a board game with the spirits inside, and the guy turns out to be extremely good as he grew up at the bar. The spirits call it quits and are trying to negotiate for the terms when Chu's spiritual coins leave them shaken. Chu assumes that luck is on his side by this time, and he tries to use his massive brain while choosing the weapon only to return back with a simple piece of wood that makes him the joke in the class again. The students are assigned proper rooms finally, and while Chu is wondering about whether this board is just it or it does something else as well, some random chaos in the dorm alarms Chu of some trouble as some seniors were breaking into rooms to snatch weapons from the freshmen. The seniors were from the Pure Color clan, and the spies from earlier are revealed to be members of the Pure Color clan as well. While the other members had to drop their weapons, Bai and Lan embarrassed the seniors as they easily beat them up. Chu Ling was also approached by a senior, and while he was willing to share his wooden board, the senior let him keep it out of sympathy and hilariously wished them good luck for using it. The weapon class was assembled the next morning, and Dou Yin had to send most of the students back as they had lost their weapons. While the rest of the students were told to look for practice weapons, the Pure Color clan's leader, Huan Si, is brought by his clan member to take revenge on the freshmen who humiliated them last night. The mock battle begins, and even after fighting together, both Bai and Lan barely managed to land a single scratch on the senior Huan. The teacher and the crowd were both impressed by the freshmen's efforts, and even our boys were screaming their lungs out to support their classmates. The boys kind of stopped cheering when their turn came up, and we got to see how the director and vice director were having a word about the freshmen this year and their potential. Back at the drill, Chu's board turns out to be just as ineffective as it seems, and that makes him wonder why his powers are not working right now. The purple dragon reveals that he still cannot control the powers properly, and advises Chu to use the second weapon he had got from the island. The fight continues, and as Bai and Lan are wondering about the weirdness in Huan's strikes, Chu jumps in to use his second weapon, Vacuum Seal, and with the help of some luck, he gets close to Huan to embarrass him by revealing how he has 4 arms. Such humiliation absolutely destroys Huan, who was about to punch the head off Chu if it was not for the teacher. The training drill concludes with Huan paying respects in a peaceful way, but the senior was not done with the freshman just yet, as he heads back with his head filled with vengeance. With things finally leading to help Chu Ling out in his dream of becoming the successor of Tianfeng, Chu Ling's Eudemon quest continues through Tianwu Academy with the secret behind the Dragon King inside him on the verge of unraveling, leaving us to wonder about how exactly Chu Ling Xiao will be leaving his mark in the near future. And that would be it for Chu Ling's story and today's recap for now. Let us know in the comments if you guys want a part 2. Drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.